You're listening to the Seahawks Insiders, getting you ready for Seahawks football every Sunday. Presented by Delta, the official airline of the Seahawks. Now, here's your host, Jen Mueller.
Well, you are going to have to wait an extra day to catch Seahawks football this week. That is because it is a primetime matchup on Monday night, the late game, John Boyle, against the Houston Texans. And I know the fans are going to turn out for this one. Primetime in Seattle, that is a special event.
That's going to be a fun one. And, you know, 7 o'clock feels late for a kickoff. I get it. But it isn't. Like, one thing I'll say is 5 o'clock on a weekday, getting to the stadium is tough for fans. So this will, I think, be a good chance to get fans in seats early. And
yes.
I did ask Abe Lucas. I said, does this feel like an old Pac-12 game? He's like, yeah, I used to like it. I'm not sure now. He's trying to pull the old man card in his 20s.
I was going to say he is a whole year older. Yeah. So with his birthday being
still
this
pretty young,
week,
though.
yeah. Well, I
still
can see he's
man.
trying to play the old man card. What I realized driving to work today, John? This game could pose some serious problems in the Mueller household.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Now,
Texas girl.
Well, yes, but wait a minute. I know you're going to make the association. I did grow up in Houston, yes, but I am the Houston Oilers love you blue era with Warren Moon as my quarterback. I don't have any allegiance to the Houston Texans. My niece and nephew, who live in Houston, have only been allowed to be Seahawks fans their entire lives.
That's good.
And on Spirit Day at school, when they wear Seahawks jerseys, their teachers are very, very confused. This is not the problem. The problem is, during the bye week, I will be going to Texas to see the family. I think the only one in the family that has ever owned a Texans jersey is my sister-in-law, and I'm almost positive it's D'Amico Ryans.
Well, then.
So, this could set up some really interesting family dynamics.
It'll be fine. You'll just,
I hope the kids are cheering loudly for their Seahawks.
You'll be gracious about the win, and you'll just, you won't rub it in.
That's right. We'll temper the excitement over what the Seahawks could potentially do, although there is no tempering the excitement over what Seattle did in Jacksonville. And look, I think when you see Jacksonville on the schedule at the beginning of the year, you think one thing. You look at what the Jaguars had done going into that matchup, and you think, this is a better team than what they've been in the last few years. I don't think any of us anticipated what this defense was going to do against Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Seahawks defense, not Houston, right?
Yes, John. We have switched gears to talk about how good the Seahawks are.
Well, I thought we were talking about the Houston game, not the... I'm confused, Jen. I'm sorry.
Boy.
There's a lot going on this week.
Yes, apparently so. Yes, the Seahawks defense getting after Trevor Lawrence to just some ridiculous numbers of pressures and sacks.
Yeah, I mean, that's, ESPN had that as the highest number of pressures since they started tracking them, which goes back about 25 years, I believe, and 7 sacks. More than Trevor Lawrence had been sacked all season, by the way. I mean,
more than doubled his total.
Yeah, coming from all over. I mean, you got Byron Murphy getting 7 pressures as a D tackle. It was a pretty awesome group effort.
Well, and for Byron Murphy, I'm really glad that you pointed this out. I knew that he became a dad last week. I did not realize until after the game what exactly he had been dealing with. And John, as a father, that there are some stressful moments. But this sounds like a pretty incredible week for Byron.
Yes.
In fact, to the point where even Coach McDonald, who himself became a new dad last year, is impressed by his focus and his ability to show up the way he did last week.
Well, he's got a maturity beyond his years. I mean, I can't imagine. This is an extremely difficult situation. It's a blessing that his family is healthy, and so that's extremely positive, but it's also not easy at the same time. So, that's the mental capacity it takes to kind of be in 2 spots at once. It tells you how great of a guy he is. I know he's extremely happy that his daughter was born and everybody's healthy. I mean, look, you got to count your blessings, man. Like, it's just really great that everyone's healthy in this situation, and then how he's able to play a game like he did. Shoot, I don't know. But he did play a tremendous game, and he definitely affected the outcome of that football game.
And what Mike McDonald's referring to there is Byron Murphy and his fiancée Maya, their daughter was born very premature, 3 months premature, and weighing only 2 pounds, 5 ounces, which is very scary. Luckily, as Byron Murphy told us, she's breathing on her own, which is big for a preemie like that. And doing well, but those are still scary times for a parent. And he was talking about he's back and forth from, here at work to the NICU at the hospital to visit his daughter every day. She was still in the hospital when he was in Jacksonville playing football with his teammates. So that's just a lot on your mind. You can't, you try to separate work from home life when you can, but you can't. I mean, that's too much weighing on him. So to be able to do that and then have the game he did, it just shows kind of the ability of him to kind of push through that and have an amazing performance.
Now, we know that there's such thing as dad strength. Every athlete will tell you that.
Jerry told us about it, yep.
Yep, every athlete will talk to you about that. But I also think it's important to point out, we have talked about Byron Murphy a number of times this year and the impact that he's made. It is not a surprise. And it's not a surprise that it's happening this year. And it's not a surprise that he didn't have as great of an impact last year on the stats. This is what was expected when he was drafted, and he is maturing at a rate that most players mature, if not a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and anyone you talked to last year was like, he's playing great. He's doing a lot of things. It's just it wasn't showing up on the stat sheet a lot of times because of the role he was playing. He was playing a lot of nose tackle, dealing with double teams, but you talked to his teammates, you talked to his coaches, and they were really excited about the guy. And then you fast forward to training camp this year, and people are like, he's going to be a breakout guy. Jaron Reed was like, he could be a defensive player of the year caliber player. And then sure enough, now he's got 4.5 sacks, which I believe is tied for the lead among interior linemen in the NFL. Still doing awesome stuff in the run game, and we can talk about this later. But like this run defense, they are kicking butt. So many teams are way below their average. I mean, Jacksonville, we talked about their averaging 4.6 a carry. Travis Etienne was at 5.2 a carry, and they hold them in check. So it's like, that's Byron Murphy, too, doing a lot of that stuff. So he's doing awesome.
It is. And in fact, we are going to talk about that in just a second after we get a word from our presenting sponsor.
Seattle is a city wired for change, where innovation drives the everyday, and Delta is proud to invest in that momentum. With nonstop flights to over 60 global destinations from Seattle, Delta connects you to the world. With thoughtfully designed cabins, premium service, and a seamless travel experience, all while supporting the community you call home. So your travel time feels more like me time. Delta, flying Seattle forward. Visit delta.com or download Delta's app to book your next trip.
You mentioned that run defense of the Seahawks. I was reading some headlines this week about how Houston wants to run the ball more. That is going to be a tough proposition this week. Now, the Texans are averaging about 116 yards a game. Their primary back, Joe Mixon, has been out with an ankle injury, so it's been Nick Chubb and Woody Marks that have been carrying the ball for them. But, yeah, I don't know. And the whole conversation has been, well, if they don't load the box, there's more room to run, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. But go ahead and bring more guys down, and then just let C.J. Stroud throw it. John, I don't think it's that easy based on what we've seen from this defense.
No, and Mike McDonald's talked about this of like what it takes to play good defense in his scheme is like they don't load the box. Like stopping there is important to them, but they still play a lot of too high safety stuff even when they think teams might run. And that puts a lot on the guys up front, on the linebackers to do their job, and they are doing it collectively at a really high level. So, yeah, I don't think this is, the Seahawks are stopping the run because they're just coming to it and you can go bomb over the top of them. Like, that's not how they're playing defense.
No. Defense looked very different. When you talk about Byron Murphy in the middle, you know what I was thinking? About the number of times they put Leo and D-Law on the same side, or just some of that alignment that was different up front. And I wonder if that's part of what Coach was talking about when he referenced the play the week before against Tampa and started talking about the position that they put the team in Jacksonville.
It starts with a game plan. I thought as a coaching staff, we gave our guys a better chance to succeed on a down-to-down basis, and frankly, the players are the ones that make it come to life. They decided they were going to play a certain way, and they're going to play like us and play our style of ball, and proud to see that. The effort was definitely there, physicality, the cohesiveness, the play-to-play mentality. I mean, that's not just talk. That's what these guys, what they're about, and that's what we expect moving forward, is to play like that.
We heard Mike be pretty hard on himself after that loss, and he put a lot of that in the coaching. Like, we didn't get them prepared enough. So I think to him, that's some of what he's talking about. Is like they put guys in better positions, and the guys did their jobs. Another part, not from that quote, but that I thought really jumped out that we've heard Coach talk about is like the tackling was not very good against Tampa Bay, and then against Jacksonville. You can still have some missed tackles, but we always hear from coaches, it's having guys around the ball. So it's like if a guy slips out, he maybe falls forward an extra yard or two and gets tackled, not he slips out and he's got open field in front of him. So that was a lot better to see.
Well, and I think it's also who you were getting tackles from and where they were coming on the field. The fact that Nick Emenwari and it was Drake Thomas, right, who were up there at the top of the list of tackles. Kobe Bryant was telling me after the game, he said, yeah, coach called me out on my tackling against Tampa, and I felt like I had to step up, and they did.
First drive, he shoots in the backfield, tackle for loss. Had one on each of the first 2 drives.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of this is now, look, because we're on this rotation where you only play these teams every
4 years.
4 years, right? I wonder if some of this is we are now to the point in the season where there have been common opponents for the Texans or a similar offense to what you had faced in Tampa as to what you saw in Jacksonville. Some of this, I think, is having just a sample size that you can work off of.
Yeah, for sure. The deeper you get in the season, you get a better feel for what these teams are. I think, you know, there's enough commonality in all these Shanahan/McVay West Coast offenses that can help a little bit. But yeah, I mean, when you don't see a team and it has new coaches and doing some new scheme, you got to kind of just do your thing and do it better than them if you don't necessarily, you know, have all the schematic advantages because you haven't seen it.
Well, Seattle also gets an extra day to prep for the Texans. The Texans, meanwhile, are coming off their bye. Seattle heading into theirs. And that bye week, while it plays a role on the field, it could also be playing a role with your fantasy football lineup this week. Our fantasy insider, Scott Engel, has some advice.
Thanks, Jen and John, and welcome back for Week 7 of fantasy football. More injuries, more buys, but we got you set up. Starting at quarterback, Caleb Williams with a really good matchup against the Saints this week. Also, Jared Goff in that big shootout between the Buccaneers and the Lions. And running back, go with Jakari Krosky-Merritt as a must-start. The rookie has a terrific matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. And also Jordan Mason, the Philadelphia Eagles, are 25th in fantasy points per game allowed to opposing running backs. And wide receiver Cortland Sutton has a great matchup against the Giants. And Rashee Rice is back for the Chiefs and a good matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's going to open up things for Xavier Worthy. So Xavier Worthy is a must-start for some real fantasy upside this week. And at wide receiver, late week pickup. How about Arian Smith of the New York Jets? Could be the number 1 wide receiver for the next few weeks. Also a tight end from the New York Jets, Mason Taylor will have to step up with Garrett Wilson out. And then also Harold Fannin of the Cleveland Browns. The rookie is coming on. Cleveland is giving a lot of playing time to its rookies. So I like him against the Miami Dolphins. Also at kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald, good streamer for this week against the New York Jets. And on defense, how about the Seahawks? You have to like that pass rush after what they did last week against the Jaguars at home on Monday Night Football. That ferocious defensive line, including the front with DeMarcus Lawrence and Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy the second. When you're looking at fantasy defenses, you want sacks and turnovers, and that's what the Seahawks are going to get on Monday night. For more from me, check me out on Seahawks.com, the news tab, Fantasy Insider, and also at rotobowler.com. Back to you, Jen and John.
All right. Thank you, Scott. John?
Yes.
I keep staring at the sweatshirt.
It's a good one.
I do.
I'm a big fan.
Now, I am very traditionalist in how I like the logos, but those are my colors.
Yeah.
Well, it is Crucial Catch Month.
Yeah.
Last week it was the hat. Did the girls decide who gets the hat?
It's still being debated.
Okay.
So no. There'll be some fighting, but that's okay.
Well, par for the course with you. You live with 3 young ladies in your house. Yes. So that is par for the course. Crucial Catch Month taking place right now. There was signage all through the building when I got to work today. If you would like to pick up Crucial Catch gear, it is available at the Pro Shop, both in person and online. 12% of those sales go to cancer research.
Love it. Look good and raise money for good causes.
Yes.
What's better than that?
Having an excuse to go shopping, John. Like, I can justify going shopping. Yes, I will do it every...
See, my version of that is when a brewery has a beer that they're making for a charity. Like, oh, proceeds from this beer go to whatever good cause. I'm like, oh, I have to go to the brewery
go
and drink a beer for a good cause?
Yeah.
Okay, twist my arm.
Yeah. Well,
Same
and when
deal
the
for
Pro
people who
Shop
like to
starts
shop.
selling beer, we'll be there drinking and shopping.
You might be onto something.
I think we should follow up on this. We'll just follow up on that one. Meanwhile, when you take a look at this matchup, we mentioned the common opponents and kind of what that allows you to do in game planning. Here's the other thing I'm going to point out. When you look at defensive numbers across the league, the Texans lead the NFL in fewest points allowed, and it is ridiculous. It is 12.2 points per game. Now, Seattle is right there among the league leaders. They're under 20 points a game. But, John.
Yes, Jen.
They have faced some opponents that I think have helped boost those numbers. Baltimore, which I never would have thought Baltimore would be kind of the one at the bottom of the league that's pulling some of those numbers down. But Tennessee, they shut out Tennessee. And we know kind of where things stand after they made a coaching change this week.
Yeah, that being said, though, I mean, they held, in their early losses, they held the Rams to 14 points and the Buccaneers to 20, two teams that we know are really good offensive teams. We saw, unfortunately, up close and personal how good and explosive that Buccaneers offense can be. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a real test for this Seahawks offense for sure. That's been playing awesome. And, Sam Darnold looks like, if the Seahawks keep winning, we're going to be talking about Sam Darnold as an MVP candidate the way he's playing. Like, I know that might sound crazy to some people, but when you look at the numbers, that's the company he's in. So this will be a really good test for him.
Out of all of those numbers, he is third most in total yards this year. He is top 5 in, I think it's points per game that he's averaging. But it's the 9.6 yards per play that stood out to me.
Yeah, the yards per, is that yards per attempt, right? And then 12, he's leads the league in yards per attempt and completion.
There's so many numbers, they did not fit on my very messy sheet of paper that I was writing them on.
A lot of the advanced metrics really like him too. EPA per play, he's at or near the top. Pro Football Focus has him as their top graded quarterback. Like anything you look at, he is playing at an elite level.
And I know that you wouldn't have said that a few years ago. Once again, it just proves it is growth, it is resiliency, it is being willing to take a step back so that you can take a step forward. And right now, the way it's showing up is the fact that Sam is not missing the big moments on the field.
Well, I think it just speaks to Sam's poise, his confidence right now, the preparation that he's doing. I mean, you don't just show up on Sunday and these plays come to life. You gotta make them happen. We got to be able to move and shake at the line of scrimmage. We got to be able to operate at a high level, and Sam's doing that. And so, but again, it's not just going to show up next Monday night. We got to do all the things throughout the week now, so you can be confident going into the game, and I know we will. And to me, I think it's as simple as that. And you got a lot of guys playing really hard beside him too now. I mean, we got our offensive line protection has been overall very positive. And, to throw the ball down the field, it takes some, as we saw last week against us, it takes some Mississippis. And you got to be able to create those explosive plays.
I love take some Mississippis.
Take some Mississippis. I actually had to listen to that again. Like he said that, and I was like,
one Mississippi, two Mississippi.
Is that what I thought? Yeah.
It's great. And I mean, I'm glad he brought up the pass protection because Sam Darnold had 4 of his 6 games this year with 1 or 0 sacks. Yeah. And some of that is, it's not just the line. Like sometimes it's him getting the ball out. Sometimes it's him avoiding it. But when you look at, how much people were concerned about this offensive line, and not that line won't tell you they can be better, but what this group has done has been huge for this offense and a big reason why they're not just being efficient, but incredibly explosive because, as Mike Manal said, that takes protection for you to throw it 61 yards downfield to Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Which is a totally just elite combo in the NFL
Holy
right
cow,
now.
They're so good. Right?
Like, it's crazy. And the matchup that I think they are looking forward to in Houston, and quite honestly, yes. Now, he is dealing with an oblique.
He's beat up. Is he okay?
But he has not missed a game. And again, he's had an extra week. So I would anticipate him being out there. And then you know that he is good. In fact, I have a couple of numbers here. Fewest yards per target last season. 31 passes defense since 2023. That is the most in the NFL. And head coach DeMeco Ryans says that he has some of the best hands he has ever seen, including Hall of Famer Dion.
Yeah. It's funny because remember his rookie year, and everyone was like, oh, Sauce is so good, and everyone thought Stingley was kind of a bust, and then not that Sauce has been bad, but all of a sudden Stingley's like, no, he's legit one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL.
It'll be a good matchup. And there is the fact that C.J. Stroud has a little bit of extra intel on JSN that maybe he'll be able to pass along
a little
there
bit. We'll
from
see.
that college connection.
Could go both ways. Maybe JSN's in there chatting with the defense
Well, that is
week,
true.
saying, hey.
It probably does go both ways. Why didn't I think of that first? Thanks for pointing that one out.
And I guess we can congratulate Derek Stingley. He apparently got engaged over the bye week. If you Google him, that comes right up.
I hope he is so distracted by wedding planning because that does take a lot of energy.
Yep.
That he
forgets to study. I'm sure that's what'll happen.
I'm sure that's exactly what's going to happen. You mentioned the 61-yard strike to JSN. How about the 61-yarder to A.J. Barter?
Huge.
It was huge in the game. And then in talking to A.J. after the game, because that was his only target up until that point. And he said, last year, I wouldn't have handled that very well. I would have kind of checked out of the game, not expecting to be part of the passing game. Not that he wasn't trying hard, but he said that is one of the ways that I know that I have grown, is that I was anticipating that, I could read that, and I never once thought the ball wasn't coming to me.
And I love the aggression there.
Yes.
And they'd done it on the drive before. They weren't able to keep that drive going, but they were backed up, and they came out throwing. And you're thinking, oh, you're backed up, you're just trying to run the clock, you're going to go run. And they threw to JSN, got a first down. I like that in that scenario. You don't want to do reckless things, but if you got a chance to, that basically put the game away. Whereas if you give up the ball there and have to punt it, that's one more stop you got to get.
Yeah, and there was a lot of punts there in the fourth quarter and at the end of the third quarter as things kind of tightened up on both sides. And if the running game was as efficient as they were hoping, right, it wouldn't have taken that big strike down the field. And for all of the talk of making sure that the run got established at the beginning of the year, it's been hard for them to do that. And, Mike McDonald knows that there's a trade-off. He also expects his team to be able to deliver.
To a certain extent, I think that might be a fair evaluation. I also think, you should be able to run wide zone against loaded boxes. That's part of the reasons why it is the way it is. So that's something that we need to improve on our run game. It's just pretty cut and dry. But you also need to stay committed to it. I told the team today, it's just a function of details. It's a function of reps. It's a function of just getting better at what we're doing. Just like our punt return and kick return game. We're a block away here, a block away there, which it sounds like an excuse. It's not going to be good enough in the end. We got to get those things right. But in order to make it happen, you gotta attack the details. You got to stay steadfast in it. The more reps we're going to get, the better we're going to get at it. And then it does force teams to put people on the line of scrimmage, and when they do that, it opens up passing lanes. So that's how we've been operating, and we expect our run game to get better. And our pass game right now is operating at a high level, and we want to keep that rolling as best we can as well.
Yeah, and it's not a lack of commitment. They're 8th in the NFL in rushing attempts right now. The issue is that 27th in yards per attempt.
Right.
But kind of what the question that prompted this and what he alluded to at the end is that does create some opportunities. If you're showing that kind of, we've seen a lot of the big plays come off play action where it's, you watch the replay, it's so clear that the safeties, he takes that initial step in on the play action, which DeMeco Ryans did a nice breakdown. He was asked about the offense this week, and he talked about Clint Kubiak and the offensive line and how they make it look the same. And when defenders can't tell if you do that play fake well and the linemen block it the right way, it's just natural for a safety or defensive back, especially, again, when you're in the top 10 in attempts, that they're going to bite. And that's where we've seen a lot of these big plays open up. So, again, they want to run the ball better, but when you can be the most explosive passing offense in the league, that's a pretty good trade-off.
Well, and if defenders are going to stack the box against you, you can only do so much, right? They're averaging about 3.7 a carry. The total numbers across the board, they're not bad because they're also 8th in yards by tailbacks. So it's not like they're in the bottom of the league. You would like to see more. There are some things that are not stacked in their favor. Some of that's to be expected when everybody knows you want to commit to the run.
Yeah.
So
it feels more like a consistency issue than ability.
Yes.
We've seen stretches where they're gashing teams. It's just they've not necessarily been able to do it as much as they want.
Right. But they have still continued to call those plays. Yeah. They have never gone completely away from the run, which we have seen at various times over the last few years where you just abandon that from the call sheet. That makes it really difficult when you're trying to get any yards at all. Well, Seattle got enough on both sides of the ball to get the win in Jacksonville. It was a nice bounce-back win, and it really just kind of proved that they could, I've used this word twice now, be resilient and come together. But for Mike, it is also about getting back to the process and expecting to win in those moments.
This is a tough league, man. It's a tough league, and it'll humble you in a second. And there's great teams and great players and great coaches, and you got to go through it. You got to go through the process from starting in April and the off-season program, even before then when the players show up. And you got to go nail, the summer and keep your body in great shape and get ready for camp. And you got to go nail camp days and build that callus and do all the things that it takes to all the situation. There's so much work that needs to go into it, and our guys have nailed those steps. And so it's a message to our guys that they've earned the right to be confident because they've gone through the process so well, and they've stuck together doing it. They've done it unselfishly and with a sense of urgency, and we have fun doing it. Take pride in that it's an environment where guys love coming to play football. And now it's game time where we want to go show the fruits of our labor where we go win games.
I like the way Mike messages stuff like this, where it's not like you don't just tell guys like, oh, we're better than everyone, we can beat everyone, but it's more like, no, when you put in the work, like you've earned the right to go into every game feeling like you should win because like you've earned it. You've put that effort in, you've put the practice in, you've put the reps in May and June and July. And yes, talent matters too, and they have a lot of that on both sides of the ball, but he's always had that like confidence of like, yeah, we should feel like we're going to win every week, and we should feel like every week or every season we want to compete for a championship. That's not like arrogance or cockiness. It's just like, no, if we put in the work and we believe in the roster, the front office builds us, and the coaches put in the work, then we should be in contention. Yeah,
I started writing it down, and then I realized that I wrote it down twice already. Earned the right to be confident. Yep, It is already on a Post-it note on my computer, but I felt the need to write it down again. I've also used the phrase stacking wins significantly more in the last 2 months than I ever have, and process over results. So I am starting to sound like the head coach, which I don't think is anything wrong with it, but I do sound like
seems to be doing pretty good at his job. So if we want to sound like him, that's
pretty well. There is only one thing left on our to-do list today, but before we get to that, let's get a word from our presenting sponsor.
Seahawks fans, 12 Status is back benefiting you this season. One passing yard gets you 1 mile all Seahawks season long. 12 Status members get priority boarding out of SeaTac all Seahawks season long. And 12 Status members get a 12% discount at the Seahawks Pro Shop on the 12th of each month. Sign up now at 12status.com.
Okay, the last thing remaining, it's the two things you need to see for a Seahawks win on Monday night. What do you got?
Well, we talked a little bit about the pass protection's been really good. This is going to be a tough test. They got some good edge players, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and some other guys they can throw at you. Let's say 2 or fewer sacks. If they get to 2, you can live with that. But if it starts getting out of hand, we don't need any more of that. And then on the other side of that, I would love a faster start at home. I think some of these home games, I want to give the crowd an excuse to get into it and go nuts. So whether that's you get the ball and you go march down the field, score a touchdown, or if it's maybe quick sack 3 and out if you're on defense first, or a turnover, obviously would be awesome. But just something to get the momentum and get the crowd really into it, get that Monday night crowd going.
So what you're saying is my number one thing should be win the coin toss.
Well, no, because I think you can start fast on either side of the ball.
No, I do. I agree. Except that Mike has been known to win the coin toss and go on offense first. Pete would defer.
Yeah.
Mike has been known to start on offense first.
Done a little bit of both, but
yes.
Either way.
But if we win the coin toss, you get to decide how you want to set the coin. So let's just call it that.
Sure. Win the coin toss.
From the defensive line, I want to see that last week wasn't a fluke. And I know that they're a talented line, but those numbers were absurd. 17 quarterback hits, that was the most in the last 25 years for a Seahawks team. I mean, that's quite honestly as far back as those numbers go. And the 7 sacks. It's unlikely you are going to replicate those numbers, but don't let Stroud get into that opportunity where he can hit Nico Collins deep, right? They do have some deep threats on this team. Yeah. Keep that pressure up. Get it consistently across the board. And let's say, is 7 QB hits too much to ask for?
No, that's like less than half of what they got last week.
I know. I always do this. You're always like, you're not asking for enough.
Dream big, Jen.
10 QB hits.
I love it. I mean, he's been sacked at least
Eating
twice
off the
every
12s.
game. So
that's true. Okay. 10 QB hits and 3 sacks.
Love it.
Okay, we're going to raise the bar on that one. We will see how we did next week following a primetime matchup. That's the next time we'll be back with you for another edition of the Seahawks Insiders Podcast.